Warning: the following broadcast features thoughts, ideas, and opinions you might find offensive. If you're easily angered, insulted, hurt, provoked, outraged, or annoyed, the following may offend you. The views expressed in this show are solely those of the individuals providing them and do not reflect the opinions of YouTube or Google. So please, don't flag this video. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello!
Hi.
Hi guys, how you going?
Hello. Oh,
Hello,
everyone's
hello.
jumping in now.
Hey! We'll give you a second
Shout out.
to catch up, yeah.
Shout out to
Yay.
Rock Music Forever 90 for being here soups early.
Yes, and thanks for Scuba Steve for giving me some donations or blood
Scuba Steve,
sacrifices
yeah.
as we call them. Did you know that, Vicky? That's what I call super chats, blood sacrifices.
Blood sacrifices? No, I didn't.
So you can thank them for their blood sacrifice. But we should
Beautiful.
definitely have a Does This Offend You name. Hey!
Yeah.
Hey! Oh,
What's up,
cute.
Ben?
Cute,
Jam
cute.
Breaker Rob. Brock.
Slops, Ben, everyone's here. Nightmare Maven.
Look, Emma's here too. Oh my gosh.
Who invited her? Hey guys, thanks for joining. So today's. Oh, you're right. You just made. You went. Meh.
Yeah. Oh.
You okay?
That must have been the glitch. That wasn't me. Literally silent and just like, okay.
Let me know if there's any technical issues, or maybe don't let me know and just let us live in peace for once, guys.
Ignorance is bliss
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Today is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome because it's gonna be there's a lot going on. We're gonna talk about true crime in horror, which is something that is such a touchy subject and something that is going to be really cool to discuss because we've picked two films. We've picked The Haunting of Sharon Tate, which notorious, is it now? I don't know. It got a lot of controversy. Hilary Duff, love it. And that is obviously based on the Manson family murders of Sharon Tate. And then we have Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is based on a serial killer. But it's kind of like the victim's perspective and the killer's perspective. So there's a lot. Before we get started, if you guys wanted to head over to Vicky's Twitter and go and vote for which one you find more offensive if you've seen them both. There will be spoilers, obviously. And also, down in the down bar, I put Vicky's channel, so make sure you subscribe to Vicky. Just shout out at the start instead of leaving it all to the end. Cool. And what do you think? Where should we start today?
I don't know actually, because I feel like we got a lot to say for both of them. Yeah, I actually don't know which one I'd rather start with.
Let's put it up to the chat then. What do you guys think?
What are we starting with?
Yeah, do an S for Sharon Tate or a H for Henry.
Yeah.
Just makes it easier to see.
One horror movie, one horrible movie.
One horror movie. Bia, you might be very surprised by what I have to say about Sharon Tate. Okay, well, we got H. Oh.
H.
Slops, we're not doing anything about a clown. Stop. He's like, do one on a clown. Oh, I think it's pretty split, to be honest. What, are you counting these? Wait, H, S,
right.
H, well, Tate. H.
I got like 13 H's maybe.
I've got like split, man.
Oh man.
Are we gonna have to flip a coin or something?
Yeah. Next one that comments.
I've got an SD card that I can flip. I have no. Oh my god, Edgar Allan Flo. I don't know if that's like a plus or a minus. Edgar, do you want to like back that up? Because you can't really just say that word. I don't know if that's a friendly comment or not.
Moving on.
If it's not, I'll get one of the mods to get him out. Oh, thank you, slops. Maybe
Okay.
just don't use that word when you're talking about like someone here.
Yeah.
Okay? Directly. Thank you.
Such a shame. Your username was cool. Oh well.
Yeah, I know. I think that I just, yeah.
Okay.
I think everyone's taking care of it. It's all
Anyways,
good.
which
Everyone's
movie are we
taking
supposed
care
to
of
start with?
drama. Okay, what are we doing, guys? Are we doing Henry or I'm gonna flip an SD card, okay? So
Okay.
I'm not joking. Which way? This will be Sharon Tate, and this will be Henry. You ready? Okay, we got Henry.
Okay.
That was easy. Okay, let's do Henry
Alrighty
because I
then.
feel like it was split. Okay, do you
Yes.
want to do the intro?
Sure.
You're like,
All
I
right,
don't,
so
Emma,
Henry...
but you make me do it every time.
I'm
know
always
exactly.
prepared. All right, so Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, 1986 film, directed and co-written by John McNaughton, probably said that wrong. Like Emma said, the film is loosely based on the crimes of serial killer Henry Lee Lucas. Michael Rooker stars as the titular character who introduces his prison buddy and now roommate Otis to the idea of murdering people at random. Otis's sister Becky comes to stay with them, and she takes a liking to Henry's guy next door facade. And that's really kind of all that happens. It's like Henry goes around and murders people and then, chit chats with Becky. And that's really kind of all that happens in the movie.
Had you seen this movie before watching it for this?
Actually, no. So this was the first time I was watching both of them.
I'd seen, the other one for sure. But
Yeah.
I'd seen this one before, but it was quite like forgettable for me. And when I was watching it, I was just like doing some kind of research and looking up, I guess, some interviews and things. And this is mentioned by a lot of, I think it was Eli Roth, and a lot of directors are obsessed with this movie. They think it's the scariest movie they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which,
I know, that's why I knew it was like notorious or like revered or something like that. I knew that, but I just hadn't seen it before. Yeah.
But
that's
I mean,
interesting.
I can't say I agree. But I did just watch all of the guinea pig films, so I'm a little bit out of it. But
might be a little numb from that, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like for that, I was just very interested with that. Thank you for your blood sacrifice, Megan. I appreciate it. My hype girl. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I was very interested that people found it so intense, but I think it was probably for its time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess like
this is like smack in the middle of slasher time, so this was definitely different for the time that it came.
I guess like the main point I guess we should start with is what it's based on. So Henry is what is sorry, I should have this up. Henry is I'm trying to keep up with the chat. What was the actual killer's name?
Oh, Henry Lee Lucas.
Yes. And he was like notorious for kind of admitting to crimes, admitting to killing over 200 people, he said that he killed, and it could only be proven, or he was only convicted for 10. So it's kind of, the movie is, and this is where we get into the good stuff, based on a true story, very loosely, and it's based on his confessions. So it's not actually anything that really happened, although there are a lot of portions of the film that could be deemed offensive, that are taken from real life scenarios. The main one being his relationship. He has a relationship with Otis's sister. In real life, that was Otis's niece, who was, well, how old was she? 14?
12.
12.
Something,
okay,
12, 13, something like that.
Yeah, so real life, a little bit sketchy. Well, very sketchy. And obviously in the movie, it's painted very romantically. And, like, she is saving him and he is, like, protecting her. But obviously I really liked your note about why they probably did that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I felt it was more, to, like, kind of, pull the rug out for, we're going to jump right into the spoiling the end. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's done. I personally just, when I was watching it, thought it was done to make him seem like a sympathetic character, because I think they were like playing that card kind of through the movie, because he like, when he's like with Becky and Otis to an extent until he starts murdering people with him, he has like I said, like the guy next door sort of facade, and then when you see him on his own, he's like this vicious like murderer, just, you know, killing people without even a blink. But so then like at the end you have that feeling like, oh, like she's gonna save him, that sort of thing, and then just like matter of fact, like the next morning you don't see her, and then he's dropping her body off in a suitcase along the highway, and then it ends. And I think that was kind of just like to kind of pull the rug out from under the audience. Like, you thought it was going to go one way, and
A killer's a killer.
turns out, yeah, you can't save a serial killer.
Save them all.
Right. You can't save all the bad boys, guys. You can't save all the bad boys.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that probably the most offensive tone in this is the fact that they try and make him like a redeemable, or like a lost kind of character that she is trying to save. And he does save her from being raped by, well, I mean, you know, mid-action of being raped by her brother, which is, it was very, very intense, that scene. Very hard to watch. And it's every time that Otis and him go out and like go to like kill someone, he kind of instructs Otis of how to do it and what to do. But then when Otis wants to take it too far, because, you know, killing isn't far enough, take it too far and have like, you know, a sexual, you know, sexual violence with the victims, then Henry's like, no, don't do that. And you're like, what? Am I meant to be okay with you? Like,
he's a serial killer with morals. He draws the line at sexual abuse.
Yeah. Which is, very bizarre. And I guess this is where we're gonna go with this whole thing is this okay? Is it okay to change the narrative of the story if it's true crime? Because a lot of this is taking a lot of things that kind of happened and making them into reality. Especially since it's just based on his fantasies. But, you know, these are real people. Like the girl in the situation was real. Otis was real. Did you want to talk a little bit about Otis's background? Because I saw you had some really good notes on how they portrayed Otis.
Oh, yeah. Because I think I don't know, it was like interesting what they did with his character too. Like kind of your notes on like creating like sympathetic characters. I think they were almost kind of trying to do the same with Otis, at least in the beginning, because they make it seem like, I mean, Otis isn't like 100% a good guy at the beginning of the movie. Like I said, they knew each other in prison or something like that in the film. And I think, no, not in real life. I don't know. I have my serial killer books up to the side. I'm just staring at them like it'll send me the information that I read.
About how they met?
Yeah. Like in the movie, though.
In the movie they met in prison, but in real life they met somewhere else. I did read that.
Somewhere else. Yeah. Somewhere else. But, I mean, so Otis in the movie Otis was not, like, 100% a good guy, but they make it seem like Henry kind of, like, introduces him into murdering, when really, like, Otis did have, like, his own kind of tragic kind of history as well, especially with sexual abuse. So, at least from what I read, he was raped by his sister, or something like, or one of his sisters or something like that. And then he like then turns around and enjoyed watching his sister's daughter have sex with men that like he would bring over and stuff like that. And so he was kind of like already not a great guy also. No. But I think in the movie they kind of paint him as a little bit more sympathetic. Like he gets brought into like this murdering thing, and then I don't know, it's like it's all very, like you said, it's, like, based on, like, fantasies. It's, like, they just took, like, a nugget of truth, I think, from each character, and then just
definitely
almost created a whole new story.
No, totally. And Otis's background, he was also a prostitute, so, like, in real life. And obviously they did not paint him as that. Like, he was sexually, I don't know, like, he was just so different in the movie because he, like, his whole motivation was sex. Where it's just very interesting the bits that they decided to take and the way they decided to paint them. Obviously none of it was good, but it probably would have been more interesting if they stuck to the truth. And I saw in your notes that you wrote something about why didn't they just make this a story on its own? Why did they have to base it on anything? And that's completely valid.
Yeah, I thought like the whole like the subtitle portrait of a serial killer, like, and because you mentioned earlier, like he confessed to like, and there's like numbers everywhere. Like some places will say he confessed to like 500 murders. So, you know, like how like,
it's
and
very
he kept like
confusing.
waffling. I guess like that was in part because he thought it would like help him like in the courts and stuff if he just like agreed to everything. And they were constantly like testing his memory to see if like his story held up. And he was like waffling like in his confessions, like going back and forth, like it'd be like, I killed this many people, no, my mother was the only one that I killed, like that sort of thing. But I feel like the director and the writers pulled out like just tidbits that almost feel like you could apply them to just serial killer. Like, so I was just curious as to like why even make it about a singular person instead of just making it a movie about a serial killer and taking like those notes. I wonder if that was more like a commercial choice almost too, because you know we're so fascinated with true crime. Like, would it sell better if it was based on a true story? And you can't really say that if you're just making a generic serial killer movie. No,
100% agree. And it 100% reminds me of the next movie we're going to talk about. So that's why I think it's so funny. We always find a way to really connect two films, no matter what they are. We don't even think about it until we've seen them both.
I know.
But side by side, like, they just match. But no, that could definitely be, very interesting. I just wanted to see what was going on in the chat because you guys seem to have really like broken down the whole romanticizing saving the bad boy is offensive. Sorry, this is from Lexi Sue. I think that the romanticizing of saving the bad boy is offensive because it contributes to the part of the true crime community that takes to that extreme of loving real life killers.
Yeah. You can even look at like recent stuff with the Ted Bundy
yeah.
stuff with Zac Efron playing him, and everybody was going all crazy about Ted Bundy. And,
yeah, totally.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, we're not going to talk about that film, but that film does stay quite close to certain, events that happened, and these films that we're talking about today do not. And that is just the thing. Like, I'm always very confused, and I want to talk about this again. Oh, thank you for your blood donation. Sacrifice. Not your donation. Thank you for your blood sacrifice. Binge the hell out of your channel lately, Emma. Great content. I watched Hereditary because of your review. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Jackson. Thank you. I appreciate that. Something that I do want to get into, and maybe a little bit later, is like the whole true crime in horror, because obviously there's so many movies based on this. You could talk about Amity, you could talk about Exorcism, or particularly like the Exorcism of Emily Rose, and you could talk about Lords of Chaos. You could talk about so much movies that are based really loosely on things that have happened that people don't, I mean, obviously with Lords of Chaos people bat an eye, but people don't bat an eyelid at these other things.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting that it's just certain films that people get really mad about. Obviously when this came out, I don't think people were as involved in the whole romanticizing serial killers. Like, that wasn't a conversation that was happening at the time. So I think for this film, it was more controversial because of how brutal it was, and because of the incest and the rape and the killing.
Yes.
And I don't think it romanticizes any of that in this film. It's very raw. It's very gritty. And especially with the whole, like, there's no, like, nice sexual moment. They live in, like, this rundown house. It's not a glamour story by any means. It's very gritty. I just wish that Henry wasn't shown. Like, it just confuses you when you're like, is Henry meant to be like the good guy? And there's no real characters to connect with that are the good person. Even the sister, she's just all crazy. Like, she gets told that he killed his mother, and then all of a sudden she's like, by the way, I was raped by my father, like out of nowhere, and really confides
that conversation in the movie, I was just like so bizarre. I was like, what's happening?
And it seemed like she was trying to get something from him. So it all seemed like you couldn't really, everyone was like a little bit what was going on with them, and everyone seemed to have a more like a longer backstory, a more intricate backstory that wasn't explained very well. So I think that it was hard to connect with that. So in that regard, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it probably would have been better if it was a completely different film, but I like based on someone else. But I do understand the need to base something on reality to make it realistic. So, and you know,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's all over
I
the
guess I can
place.
see that, yeah. Because
Yeah.
there's that connection, like that, especially when you're watching like a scene in the movie, like when they're attacking the family or whatever, and you're watching it like from the camcorder footage, like when you have it in your mind that that really happened or that potentially really happened, it adds like it adds more weight to the scene. Like when
Yeah.
you're watching, like it kind of like roots you in your seat more, and it makes it even harder to watch if you're thinking about this actually happening to
Yeah, and it
people.
also with serial killers, like, you know, they have to go through like motivations and their MO and like how it all goes down. So
Yeah.
obviously you want to take things from reality to make it like a realistic person.
Yeah.
It's not a situation with like strangers where it's like we just want to fuck people up just for the sake of it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of different. With serial killers, because you really do have to provide a little bit of a backstory if you're going down that route. And if it is Henry, portrait of a serial killer, you have to go down that route.
Right, exactly.
It would have been interesting if they showed a little bit more of his like earlier, I don't know, like his mother, but then I feel like that would have made him even more like sympathetic. So it is a
Yeah.
bit weird. It is, yeah. It's a bit strange one.
I feel like that is kind of like the trick though with serial killer movies though, is like most of them did have like a tragic background like that. So there's always like
Yeah.
that question, you know, there's always that like little nugget of sympathy, like, oh, that's a horrible thing to happen to somebody, because the story that he tells in the movie is pretty much like 100% true, apparently. Like that, like his
About his mom,
mother,
yeah.
yeah, actually did that, and he did murder her actually. So I mean, that's like so that's the part of you that's like, that's fucking terrible. That, like, it's an awful thing to happen to somebody, but then like that gets thrown into question when you're watching him then murder other people, because it's like, I feel bad for you, bro, but
Yeah, but that's yeah, you're right. With all serial killers, that's the problem, and I guess that's, you know, that goes for all killers, and that's a huge part with the true crime community and the whole you know, shooting up schools and romanticizing, you know, or being able to relate to being bullied and then thinking that that's a justification. So
yeah,
it's a tricky subject. It's not a black and white subject.
it
There's
is.
no one's going to be able to, no one in this chat or you and I, when no one's going to be able to say this is the way it should be, because every case by case is different, and it's just unfortunate, and it's just a weird world that we live in, that this drives entertainment. And I'm not saying I don't get entertained from the things like this at all.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. It makes me feel weird because I don't know where I should stand. Because if you want to rule out true crime, you've got to rule it all out. You can't nitpick. So
Yeah.
Do we
I
cover
think that,
all
like,
the...
yeah, no, it's 100% all a gray area, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, I don't like fault anybody for like, obviously I like it too. I have serial killer books. Like, there's like something like in being a human being that makes you curious about how another human being could turn out that way. Like, it's
Yeah.
only natural to be like, how do you get to murdering X number of people? So,
Yeah.
so I get it. I get why movies want to explore that, but like you like, it is not black and white, because there are definitely instances where maybe, which we'll probably get into this more when we start talking about the Sharon Tate, where you kind of question whether they're just making it because of the timeliness factor or because of popularity, and not necessarily to explore like the human condition or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, take it deeper.
Yeah. No, totally. Totally agree. Let's have a look at some of the comments, because you guys are coming through, and you're on topic. Yeah. Usually the chat just like, yeah. I mean, you've yeah. Have you got any particular comments that stand out to you? I think everyone's talking about Ted Bundy now.
Sorry.
Biaz, Darling Darkness says the only problem with extremely wicked Shockingly Evil and Vile, is that how I said the title? Oh my god, did I get that right? Was that they shifted the focus mid-movie to Ted completely. I didn't hate the romanticizing aspect. I mean, I like that movie, so I'm just trying to see if there was any more about that. Here we go. So I Stand Alone says, I'm so over these Ted Bundy, Manson, Tate, Wolves at the Door was pure, movies. Wolves at the Door was pure trash, which I will get into because there's stuff that really annoys me about this. Like, and I don't think no one else is really talking about the actual, anyway, we'll get into it. You know, it's about the eyebrows. Okay. You guys will get to it in a second. You'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. No, it's very interesting. Shall we just get on to Sharon Tate? I think we covered all of our Henry. I've just had a quick look. All of our Henry Portrait of the Serial Killer. But, Vicky, does Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer offend you? Are you offended?
I can't say that I am.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think I am. I feel like if I hesitate, I'm not offended.
True that. I think that what offends me is the fact that they kept the incest in, you know, all of the rape, all of the violence, but then they changed the age of the girl. So they made it okay that Henry was like dating her, or whatever he was doing, like being with her. They made it like an okay thing, but it wasn't. And why did they do that but only to redeem him? Again, based on a story, but I felt like that was like a cop-out move to try and make him sympathetic. Again, so they could have a reveal, which I think is like a great explanation of that. But I don't think that I would watch this film again anytime soon. I'm not like deeply offended by it, but I'm just like, it makes me think, like, why?
Yeah,
So many questions.
Yeah. Speaking of so many questions, The Haunting of Sharon Tate.
Guys, it's going to get real.
Okay. Well, The Haunting of Sharon Tate is a super, super new one. Came out this year? Or probably film festivals last year, who knows. But it made available this year. It was written and directed by Daniel Ferrans, probably said that one wrong too. And it stars Hilary Duff as Sharon Tate over her last couple of days in her and then husband Roman Polanski's California home. Tate struggles with being 8 months pregnant, having strangers show up at her door, and being plagued with visions of her and her friend's imminent death.
Okay. What did you think of the film?
Where do we start?
I just want to know what you think of the film just in general.
I did not like it. My big, like, the best way to describe how I feel about this movie is like, why? I didn't understand like why we needed this movie. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt kind of unneeded. Like, I'm not saying that like their story didn't deserve to be told, but no one's ever going to know what went on that evening because there were no survivors in real life except for like the groundskeeper, but he was like in a separate cottage and didn't even know anything was wrong until like the next morning. So nobody is ever going to know. So any movie that comes out about this is just pure speculation. You know, like the most you can get is from like the killer's perspective when they actually show up, you know? So like, I don't know that exploring like, oh, what happened in the last couple of days before this happened? Like, does it make the victims more sympathetic? Do they need to be made more sympathetic? Like, why explore it in the first place? Does it change anything? Like, you know what I mean? It just felt unneeded.
Yes, it did.
I feel like I gotta...
Are you all right? Bless you. Bless you. Yes. We're going to spoil this film, guys. So if you haven't seen it and you want to, probably don't. But I have like a different take on this film because I understand why. Oh, thank you so much, Tim Breaker. Thank you for your blood sacrifice. Oh my God, thank you so much, Chance. Thank you for your blood sacrifice. Thanks, guys.
Hillary Stan.
The thing about this film, I think that is really important for you guys to know if you haven't seen it. So let's start off by the fact that the film is based on a conversation that apparently never happened, about that Sharon Tate says about her having a dream about her friend being strangled, hanged.
Yeah, it was apparently some apparent tabloid story where she was talking about having like a dream of her and or her either it was like her and Jay Sebring or just Jay, which is actually one of the victims, like being like strung up and having their throat cut or something like that.
Yeah.
But
sorry, thank you so much, Rob, for your blood sacrifice. I appreciate it. Yes, I do the bow every time, guys. Let me know if I need to block that guy, guys. I can't see them, but when they come up. Okay. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Oh. Okay.
Everything.
What is going on? Okay. I'm like, what is going on? Sorry, guys. Just 1 second. Let me just.
Sorry. No, you're good. Do what you got to do. I'm confused. Okay. I don't know what was happening.
Oh, you missed it. Don't worry. All good. I try and keep it quiet when people like while out.
Cool.
What was I saying? Okay. So it is based on a thing that never happened. That the sister says, Sharon Tate's sister says that this never happened. She never had this dream. Blah blah blah. So the whole thing is based on that and her like, you know, thinking about that. Okay, so keep that in mind. Throughout the film, she has these weird dialogue moments, which I thought were going nowhere, but actually did mean something. Where she says, you know, what if we could change the course of history? Is everyone born with their book? Like, is their book already written and then they're born into life and, you know, they can't change anything, right? Which is very interesting. And then makes no sense at the time. You're like, Sharon, chill. Start smoking the weed. And as the film goes on, what happens is Sharon gets to the point where her dream, like her premonition, almost like her deja vu is coming true. And she decides to, like, fight back. She spits at the killer, which is so random and weird. And then... you know, decides to fight back. Anyway, so fast forward, they all get out, spoiler alert, they all get out alive, all the people who are in the house that are the good people, Sharon Tate and her friends. The killers die, and wait, because the killers die, and then, you know, they're walking out, and I'm like, they're doing all these slow-mo shots, which it irks me when people don't actually film in the, like, double the frame rate and then they like just actually slow the footage down, so it's like jittery as fuck, like it's not actual slow-mo, it's just like footage slowed down, which is not slow-mo. And they're like having this moment, I'm like, oh my God, I get it. Like the director was trying to show what if someone could have a dream, figure out what was going on and change the course of history. So for them to do that, and stay with me now, for them to do that, they have to pick a piece of history that everyone is very familiar with. Everyone knows Sharon Tate died. Everyone knows what happened. So they needed to pick something like that. They have done this for other films before, but I think they wanted to pick something that was very Hollywood. It makes sense. They need to, instead of explaining the whole story, then going back and then being like, oh no, but it didn't happen. They needed to take something that people are already familiar with. So I got it. I was like, that's quite clever. You know, it's taking a course of history and completely changing it. And it's not what you would expect. And at the same time, it's great because all these, it's kind of like a good feeling watching her fight back because you know that she died. And I felt like that. I was like, it's kind of nice seeing like the killers get killed and get, you know, because you know it didn't go down that way. So I was like, I kind of understand what they're doing here. Do I think it's right? Probably not, but I get the motive. Wait. but then the last 2 minutes of the film, something you guys need to know. You know, Sharon Tate walks over to the bodies laying on the floor. This is where it gets real. She pulls up, you know, the sheet, and it's her. And just joking, she's a ghost. And it ends with her holding her baby. Yeah. So do I find that offensive? Probably. Like, the whole thing, if they got away and it showed a different course of action and it was different, at least I could respect the director's, approach and, really deciding to commit to the whole direction of the film, the whole storyline. But to take it back, it was not cool. That's how I felt. I was like, man, like, at least stick to your guns. If you're going to make something so controversial, at least, like, stick to the reason why you're doing it. You're taking this event because people already know it, and that makes sense to me. But, yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was a rant and ramble. But I think it's important to know that kind of storyline, and usually we don't go through the whole storyline, but I think it's really important to know that storyline when we're talking about this, because it is an event that has changed significantly. So I think that's, important to know. Notes.
Dang.
Was that all right?
No, that's 100. That's a really good way of looking at it. I did not watch it that way at all. I did not.
Tell me about
see
your
it that way
experience.
at all.
Oh, also, let me just say, this is not like, even though I know that I got the direction of where the director was going, I did fall asleep 3 times watching it. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying it's a good film. I'm just saying that I understand why they did what they did. Where a lot of people are like, why was this even made? I'm like, I get it, because they wanted to take an event that everyone knew and turn it on its head. It was kind of like with the Henry thing. You wanted to make him likable. And then he does him what he has to do anyway. It's like they set it all up. It's a setup.
Yeah.
Sorry. You have the floor. Oh, thank you so much, Dave. Dave Barnes. I was wondering if you were okay. I was trying to talk to you on Skype the other day. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, what's not happening in the chat today?
I don't know.
Okay,
I didn't see that. I want to view this message. Oh, God. Okay. No, okay. I'll block them. Sorry. Thank you. Is it only me? Unhired user. Okay.
I don't know.
Put user in timeout. Does that work? I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. Props to people with the wrenches in the chat.
Everyone's just trying to time out. Thank you, guys. I don't know where all these people come from. I tell you what. Okay.
Maybe talking about true crime. I don't know.
Vicky, would you like to take the floor now that I've swept it?
No, that's good. No, that's a really interesting way to see it, and probably the right way to view the movie. I guess where I kind of have the biggest problem, I respect that way of thinking and making a movie, that whole idea, I guess butterfly effect or something, changing one little thing, that sort of thing. I get it. And I know why they released it this year, because it's the 50th anniversary of it. But at the same time, I'm like, that's definitely a little bit of a cash grab.
Yeah, totally.
Sort of.
When I found out that it was the 50th anniversary, because I only read that when you had the notes, I was like, oh, okay, that's not really great.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I feel like I would have been more open to accepting that movie in that way if timeliness didn't matter. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric, for your blood donation, blood sacrifice.
I feel like I gotta bounce.
It is a donation. It's not really a sacrifice, but I mean, it is a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your time to hang out with us. So thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. I know you've been here for a long time. Fuck, man, where are these people coming from?
I don't know. Maybe it's a true crime thing. Who knows?
Oh my God, that is insane, that message. Okay, I'm going to report this guy. Do you guys want to, sorry, all the mods, do you want to that Seppa, whatever the fuck his name is? I'm just going to click report and hopefully that doesn't take me anywhere else. Okay, I'm just reporting.
Props to the mods in the chat today.
Yeah. I'm just reporting them quickly. If everyone can do that, then that will help. Okay, sorry, carry on. Jesus Christ.
You're good. I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, sorry, just got a rape threat, so I'm all good. Okay, carry on.
Timeliness. I was talking about timeliness. Yeah, I think I would have been more open to accepting the message of the movie if time didn't matter, if they just released it whenever. And I guess, I don't know, I saw a lot of articles saying it was like rushed too, like they filmed it in
20
like
days.
Hillary Duff was like done with her stuff in like a matter like a week or something like that, or 2 weeks or something like that. Like it was really fast. Um, so it kind of like, I don't know, I feel like maybe if they had just like taken more time and like the 50th anniversary was not a factor to just like tell the story, I would have been more open about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it felt like, and it's like, it's happening a lot this year. Somebody said 4. I don't know what the 4th film is, but there's this movie. There's Mary Harron's Charlie Says, which is already out on video on demand. The one where Matt Smith is playing
I didn't even know
Charles
that one.
Manson. Yeah, that one it's more like from like the family's point of view, like the girls that were in the Manson family or whatever. And then there's the one that I think most people know about, which is Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which comes out in July. And I guess we might as well get into it. Deborah Tate, which is Sharon Tate's sister, she came out and did like saying like did not like this movie, Haunting of Sharon Tate. I mean, I know you have a quote, and I also pulled one too, where she was just calling it tasteless, and like everyone is rushing out to release something for the 50th anniversary of this horrific event. And then I guess I saw stuff that she like Tarantino like set up a meeting with her to talk about like her reservations for the movie, and she's more okay with his project now after talking with him.
Okay.
I can tell you thoughts on that. Go for it.
Do you really want me to? Because I'm gonna like.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like very mad about this. Okay. So I get it, and that's her concern. That's her right to like meet with. Okay, Gromit. Gromit has something to say. That's her right. Do you guys want to see Gromit for a sec? Why not? Grommy. Oh. That's her right to meet with them and make her own I don't know, come to her own conclusions about what she wants. Obviously, the people who are affected in the situation are the people who should be speaking up. Because those are the people that everyone else is offended for, like they're offended because it's something true that happened to them. I mean, let's put all of the fact that, wolves, as you were saying, wolves at the door and all that kind of stuff, let's put them all to the side and just talk about Quentin Tarantino for a little second. I'm not the biggest fan of Quentin Tarantino. I do love some of his films. I love Reservoir Dogs. But the issue is Quentin Tarantino is known for sexualizing violence. He's known for making it like glamour and glitzy, not like Death Proof. Like, I love Death Proof, don't get me wrong, but that, oh my God, thank you so much, Dino, for your blood sacrifice. I like how Vicky's joining in too. Oh, thank you so much, Raiders. Should I just put him on the stream, guys? Thank you so much, Felix. I appreciate that. Thank you for your blood sacrifice. Thank you, Dave. You say what I am scared to say. But I'm sure you're not talking about Gromit. I'm sure you're talking about Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, no, I don't think I do.
But how is he okay? Everyone is obsessed with Quentin Tarantino, and they let him get away with this shit. Like, as I said, Death Proof, the whole film is like this, these girls in these bars, and don't get me wrong, I like the film. It's like visually very appealing. Doing these like strip dances or like sexy dances, and then them getting like, tortured in this car. And it is like this sex appeal grindhouse thing that lets him get away with literal murder. And it's bullshit. It is. It's complete bullshit that a movie like The Haunting of Sharon Tate, which although it's not technically, it's an awful movie, dialogue is awful, acting is awful, but the direction, it made sense why they did it. Not that it could be justified, but there's a reasoning to why they picked, the Sharon Tate to put in there. And then you got Quentin Tarantino, who just I don't know how much of it is going to be on there, like the actual, we don't know how it's going to happen, but it's just funny that he just gets a pass all the time because he's Quentin Tarantino. But he is a creepy man, and I just don't. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for your blood sacrifice. I'm not cool with that. Like, I just think it's such a double standard, and there's so many other films that come out that are based on true events that are changed. And let's put murder to the side for 1 second. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, much of that storyline was completely changed, but people are okay with it. People are okay with some things, but they're not okay with other things, and I think it's like super hypocritical. And that's what my issue with Lords of Chaos was, because it was very true to what happened, but some people didn't want to believe that. That's what I really think. And so it's all, I don't know. It's just, it depends on what fan people you go up against. And with true crime, there's a huge fan base, and there's a whole lot of people who are defending it. Like defending true crime and wanting to keep it as close to the story. But then Quentin Tarantino does a film and everyone's like, love you, you know? I think it's bullshit. Yeah. I don't think he'd sexualize it. Are you kidding me? Like, that is Quentin Tarantino, man. That's what he does. All he does is, like, even Reservoir Dogs, it's like glamorizing gangs. And I mean, I love that film, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna call something out, like, he is the dude. You know, he like makes all these films about Nazis and stuff, and that's okay, even though he's changed, like, you know, characters and courses of events. Like, what is okay? What is okay and what's not okay? I'm confused. America, you confuse me. Sorry. Okay, carrying on.
I don't know. It'll be interesting once I think I'm definitely going to make it a point now to watch Charlie Says. And of course, I mean, I'm going to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it'll be interesting to, having seen all 3 of the movies, see like what the big deal is. Although I don't know that Charlie Says, I don't know that it has anything to do with Sharon Tate per se. So I don't know. It's already out, but I don't know if anyone in the chat has seen it. Let me know. Because I didn't see anything where Deborah Tate spoke out on that movie. So I don't know if maybe it just doesn't have anything to do with her and it's just a Manson thing. But no, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, and who knows, maybe Daniel Farron's like, maybe he didn't get that opportunity to sit down and talk with Deborah Tate about it. And maybe she would have changed her mind if she had the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
But Tarantino's such a bigger director that I'm sure he can, you know, pull those strings and be like, hey, let me talk to her so she's not coming out and talking crap about my movie before it comes out, you know?
Oh, no, I think it was total, like...
not a level playing field.
Yeah. No, I totally think it is. And I mean, like, God forbid if I knew someone who got murdered, then Quentin Tarantino did a film on it, and then he wanted to sit down and talk to me, I'd sell out, man. Like, I'm not above this shit. I'm not saying, I'm just like, I just want the discussion, guys. And I don't hate Quentin Tarantino. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I do think... I don't think he's a hack per se, but I do think that he gets away with a lot that other people... It's just one of those power things.
Like a double standard. He gets away with it where other directors maybe don't, or they get more shit slung at them for it.
I just think it's... I mean, and I'm not saying that... It's funny because it's like I'm kind of defending, like, the Sharon Tate, you know, haunting of Sharon Tate. But it's just... I see it in a different way. Oh, my God. Thank you so much, Bia, for your blood sacrifice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Arigato. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah. A lot of directors do get away with stuff, Brooke, but it doesn't mean that we should pick on the little people. It's just so easy to pick on a Hilary Duff film, you know? And it is easy, and that's... I mean, we're not above it. We're here right here today. I just wanted to say that is my, like, point of view with that. Shall we get into the actual thing of the film?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely pertains to the film. That was like a whole thing. Like, people were talking about, oh, she hates this movie, but is now okay with the Quentin Tarantino one. Like, you know, after she went out, and like your quote that you have from her too, like she just seems like she's pissed. And I don't know if I saw like she's associated with the group, but like I see her name in this no notoriety group.
I didn't know what that was.
A lot.
I
went and looked it up, and it's like just like some initiative for like newscasters and like the media to not publicize the names of like school shooters or, you know, like any like mass murdering criminal, like and focus on like the victims and the heroes more, because it can not always, but it can influence like copycats to do the same thing because of the notoriety that they get
I get it.
from
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
a lot of media outlets that I've worked at have that discussion, and they decide, no, we're not going to do that because it gets ratings, which is unfortunate. But I understand that. And it was like a huge thing in New Zealand when they had the recent gun shooting. That was awful, and they decided they would never put, pictures, and they're not going to show who the killer is, which, I mean, because their prime minister is a boss. But anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, in her quote that I pulled out, it said that to celebrate the killer's and darkest portion of society as being sexy or acceptable in any way, shape, or form is just perpetuating the worst of our society. Which, I just want you guys to hold that in your head when we do watch the Quentin Tarantino film. Just hold that in your head, what she's just said there, because... And I mean, she is allowed to be as offended as she wants to be because it affects her directly. But yeah, it's just very interesting that it's just a pick and choose thing. Because where there's so many other films, and we were saying like Wolves at the Door, like no one really got offended by that. And that was completely based on it. So from what I know, like it came out and everyone was like psyched to see it. They said, oh, it's okay. And that was kind of it. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm like, where else should we go?
I know.
I mean, I did have my note. The most offensive thing I found in the film, probably the start thing that offended me, the first thing was Aaron Samuels, which I don't know if you guys get that reference. His eyebrows in the film are atrocious. Like, I looked up the guy he was just to see if it was like an eyebrow match. And then I was looking up Sharon Tate's eyebrows, and I was like, what is going on with everyone's eyebrows? If you guys don't get the Aaron Samuels, I don't know, reference, it's from Mean Girls. It's the dude from Mean Girls. What's his name? Jonathan something. We should know this.
Panic.
Mean Girls, Aaron Samuel. Which he's always going to be Aaron Samuel to me. Unfortunately. Jonathan Bennett. Sorry, there you go. Jonathan Bennett.
It started with a B. I was like, but yeah, Jonathan.
There you go, Bennett. Thank you. Via got it.
That's too funny. Reading your notes on this beforehand was a riot.
Yeah.
Okay. What else haven't we touched on?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just copying this quote for you guys because you've asked for it in the chat.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yes. This is the quote.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Margot Robbie. I love her. I mean, she's an Aussie, but I love her. So I think she'll be amazing. Don't get me wrong.
It'll be interesting.
But it just will be a very interesting film. And I'm not saying like I've watched Helter Skelter like 100 times. And I've read what was the book based on the family that has been completely changed. It's like the girls, you'd know it. You're into books.
Is it a nonfiction book?
Yeah. No. It's fiction. It's based on. It's like I've got it in the other room.
Oh, The Girls?
Yeah. No, what was it?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
It's definitely like Manson-esque. It's not actually like Charlie Manson, but
yeah. But like it's not that I'm not interested by these things. I actually really am interested in.
No, it's fully taken from that. They just don't say like Manson in the book, but it is. Yeah.
Yes. But like don't think that I am offended by Manson things because I'm super into it too, and it's never really offended me before. But I'm not like a person in the situation.
Yeah.
It's just a conversation. Okay, let's keep going.
Oh, yeah, totally understand. Shall I go into? Then she said, "You're not personally offended by it. I can get into why I'm offended."
Who said that?
I just had some. I said, "Do you want me to get into why I'm offended?"
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were reading a comment. Yeah. Go for it.
Oh no. You're good. My whole thing was the dialogue. I'm sorry. The dialogue was.
It was really bad. It was confusing. Like, I was like, are they, like, what are they saying? Yeah.
It was like all the messages you were talking about, like changing history and stuff. Like Sharon is like literally mentioning this multiple times. Like she just brings it up in conversation with her friends. Like they're just having these deep ass
They're like-
conversations.
They're like by the pool. He's like in his Speedos. And
Yeah.
she's like, do you ever think that like we could change like the course of time? And he's like, with his
Because,
beer, like,
nobody else, like
catch, like-
everyone, like all the other characters have like the same reaction, kind of just like, all right, weird time to bring it up, Sharon, but go off, whatever. Like
Yeah,
she just
yeah,
like
yeah.
brings up like totally unrealistic. Like you could just get your message across. You don't have to put it in the dialogue, but okay. My whole problem was I feel like in the like speculation part, I'm just talking about like what happens like leading up to it in the days that like lead up to it. Like Tate movie Sharon in her like frenzied premonition having like state is like blaming her friends kind of for what's happening. Like they keep mentioning that like while they were away, they kept having parties and like these weird people were showing up. And so she's like blaming them for like the crazy people being able to get into her house in the first place. And like the whole thing with the gate, like their gate malfunctioning, and she's like trying to make sure that they fix the gate. And the one in particular, where was it? Oh, where she's like, she kind of like with, and not saying so many words, kind of insinuates that Abigail Folger and Wojciech Frykowski, I'm probably saying his entire name wrong. I apologize for that. Like we're in on it as well. Like it almost felt like, I don't know, I just feel like that was a little like, I get that she's supposed to be like very stressed and like her mental state, you know, like I get it, but I feel like it's a little bit offensive to even just suggest in the movie that like any of the victims had anything to do with that when there's no evidence of it. Like if maybe that was something that was like still an unsolved question and there was a possibility of that happening, sure, but there's like no evidence to support it. So I'm like, I don't know why we have to like blame the victims. And even the portion towards the end where where they're showing kind of like this scenario where they survive and then like you said they like fake you out at the end and
lol, like I'm a ghost.
like just kidding, it was all a dream. But I almost feel like it just walks a really fine line of being offensive because like I put myself in the shoes of like any like surviving family members. They probably have gone over this in their head like 15 million times, like should they have fought harder? And I feel like it's kind of rude for like this outside person to say like, oh look, if they had just fought harder, they could have survived something. Like I feel like it just walks that fine line of like just being a little bit rude. Like, maybe don't suggest they didn't fight hard enough.
No, it definitely, and it does suggest that because it suggests that she has a premonition and then she knows she will die, so she fights harder for her life. Where I feel like if anyone is in that situation, they're going to fight as hard as they can, given they know what their fate is. It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think even on the flip side, it makes Sharon Tate look like heartless at points where she's really rude and bitchy towards these people that are meant to be her friends or like looking after the house, and she's really like aloof and just all over the place. And I mean, I don't know if that's what she was like, but it, you know, I think that could be probably deemed one of the most offensive things, that just the way they paint her character. I mean, obviously the payoff is that she was right all along when she's having like these premonitions and things, but and they were like, you were right, like as they're splattered with blood running out as ghosts. And then, it's so bizarre. This movie is so bizarre. Like, what did you give it? I'm just curious. What did you give it on Letterboxd?
I think I gave it half a star. Like,
I think a lot of people.
I'm trying to remember. Like, I didn't have it pulled up. I think I gave it half a star. Like, just at the time, like I just did not enjoy it. Like, I was like, It left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. It was just a bizarre. It's just a bizarre
thing.
It was. It's a bizarre thing that happened. It wasn't really a movie.
I think it could have been way better if they hadn't it seems like they rushed it. And like after I read that, after seeing the movie, I was kind of like, I
Makes
can kind of
sense.
see where maybe like rushing it was an issue. Like I think maybe if they just taken their time to actually make like a
A movie.
meaningful story, like a movie, make a movie, like it would have been way better and probably would have been received way better. But it's just like everything about it seemed like really sloppy and lazy, and
Yeah.
that just makes the offensive points come out a little bit more because it's just not well done. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like there was
Yeah.
care put in.
Yeah. How weird was the part where she was like, she talks about how her husband Pulaski is like, obviously he's been sleeping around or something, and then she hears her like her friends having sex in the next room, and then she's like, really, like while she's
Yeah.
sleeping, and it was like, where is this coming from? Like 1 minute it's like this paranormal movie about like the
Yeah.
tapes and stuff, and the next minute it's like she's all it's very weird, and it's not like one of those movies where you're like, is she going crazy, or is she like, is it real? It's just like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense in that
Yeah.
regard at all.
It's just like one big hysterical pregnant woman cliche,
Yeah, it is.
but set to like a real life crime.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Is what it is.
yeah, and as we said with Henry, why did they have to base it on something? They had to base it on something
Yeah.
so they could get something from the serial killer. And this reason, I know why they had to base it on something, because they had to base it on a true life crime that everyone was familiar with that ended
Yeah.
horrifically, so that they could change that as the reveal, but then go, just kidding. But they also do this for The Girl Next Door with Ellen Page, based on, oh no, it's an American Crime. Sorry, there's two that are exactly the same story. And is the American, so someone correct me in the chat, an American Crime is based on the Ellen Page one. It's about a story, it's a true story that happened in America about this, I'm sure you would have seen this, about a girl who gets dropped off at, she gets looked after by a family and they start abusing her. And in one of them they have, this is going to be a spoiler, in one of them they have the Ellen Page getting out at the end, and then lol, just a ghost. So, and that's based on a true story that a lot of people are very into.
Okay.
Both of them are really good films, but they're both the same story told in two different ways, which I think is really interesting. There you go. That's The Girl Next.
So
Yeah, The Girl
like,
Next Door, an American Crime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's a film that took that and kind of showed her getting out, and then it was like reveal, where I felt like that was what this film was trying to do, and it is still based on a real thing, but it just had this whole like supernatural element beforehand and this whole lead up, and then everything was just so different to I mean, what we know. And as you say, no one really knows, and so that's why there's so much room for fabrication. But I do think it's also because it is probably the most notorious like Hollywood crime stories, I guess. Black Dahlia and that, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
no, you're probably no. You're
no wonder
right,
there's so many
100%
films on them. Like it's
yeah.
Whew.
But I think the more films we get into, the more it begs the question, like, how many more films do we need on this subject? You know what I mean? Like, where do we stop? Like 3 in 1 year, or I guess 4. I'm sorry if I missed if somebody added what the 4th one was. But,
yeah.
That is just, I feel like that, like we're overkilling it right now. Like with the
yeah, totally. And
like,
but it's a hot topic right now. So many people are into like true crime podcasts and stuff, and that's why the Ted Bundy film was made. It was made for cash, and that's why films are made, guys. Like,
that one was an anniversary situation too of his execution. It was like 89 or something. I don't know what month, but I mean that one was an anniversary too, and it makes me feel bad in a way because we can never, like, the whole, like, just thinking about the no notoriety thing, like, as much as we, like, try and, like, stop it nowadays with, like, these, like, unfortunate, like, mass shootings, like, in churches and schools and stuff, but yet every anniversary of, like, some serial killer's crime or their execution, we get documentaries and movies and everyone's talking, like, the news like newspapers and TV bring it up again, like they have to mention it again, and it's almost just like, I don't know, like It's like the part that makes me question liking true crime. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with liking true crime. You can definitely take it too far, and there are people that do. But it just worries me a bit as a society too. Like, every anniversary, we have to like churn out more media for this stuff.
Yeah, it's sad because it sells, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's why people put
Yeah.
it out. A lot of people.
Oh yeah, I get why, 100%.
Yeah.
Everyone, yeah.
A lot of people are really quick, and I'm not saying that you're like this, but a lot of people are really quick to jump onto, oh my God, the media shouldn't be doing this, the media. But the media are doing it because people are, licking it up. People love that stuff. So it's a society problem, really.
100%.
And
Yeah, that's like one of the first things you learn in journalism 101, timeliness and familiarity with the story. No, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, totally. So sorry, Twitch just brought up Wolf Creek, which is one of the other films that I had listed down as a true crime film based on a true crime story. Again, something that people enjoy. Especially the second one is kind of got it's like a dark comedy aspect moment in it. And it's like, should we be enjoying these films? Should we not? I don't have the answers, but there are films like, Amityville Horror, which are, I mean, obviously they're not comedies. Amityville Horror, The Exorcist of Emily Rose, all those kind of films that you're like, it's just made to make money. Sure, I love those films, don't get me wrong, but should we be enjoying this? And it's the same thing with the Sharon Tate thing. The film it's not a good film, but it was taken in a serious, like the director was trying to make it a serious film. It wasn't a comedy. So it's hard to know whether that's a right or wrong thing, people making money from true crime.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
It is. Yeah. That's like a topic you could go like round and round and round on and still not have an answer at the end of the day for it.
And then there's all these Netflix, TV shows. We've got oh my God, what is the most famous one? I'm blanking. The
most famous one.
Most famous
TV
one about
show?
it's a documentary thing about come on guys, about the
A recent one?
No, a couple of years ago. It's about, there's a season 2. Someone's going to get it in a second. Guys, come on. It's true crime. I'm like blanking. About the guy who rapes the woman and then gets put in prison and then gets put back and then making a murderer. Thank you, Stephanie. I totally blanked. So that was like obviously fucking I was like Sailor Moon. Sorry, obviously that is like the most famous like true crime Netflix original that like came out, and that did so well. But it's also really interesting to think about what that did for the case, because that completely changed from these guys from being completely unknown people in their small town to being in jail and not having any help, to having so many people trying to figure out, even online, trying to figure out exactly what happened, which is it's just crazy. And you just think, sure, it's weird to think how it affects society, but it's also weird to think how it affects the people who are still around today. That's a little bit of a different circumstance. Obviously people died in that situation, but the people who are like suspected of the murder, there's still so much mystery around it. But there's they're churning out so many of those ones, and they have them all the time. It's hard to even keep up with how many different, innocent, are they not? There was the staircase, all those kind of films. I guess that was kind of old, but there's all those kind of ones that it's just fascinating to people because it is real. So you can see why they base horror movies off that, because it is fascinating because it's real. Yeah, I don't know. I want to know if you guys in the chat think that if that is offensive. Is it offensive to base things off true crime? Where is the line? Where is the line? It's difficult. Did we clear everything from that movie? I feel like we just went on round and round in circles with that.
Yeah. It's definitely, hold on. I think I hit everything in my notes.
Yeah, I got everything. I just said, just messy, loose basically on crime. Fell asleep 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I just love that was the first thing. Fell asleep 3 times. Well then. No line. The line moves constantly.
Mm-hmm. Jocelyn, you are so correct. The staircase is so crazy, and the thing that I don't like about like Making a Murderer and other like really well produced, I love watching them, really well produced true crime shows, is the fact that they hold all the information like this, and they're giving it to people who don't know anything about this crime, right? So they're holding all the information, and then they're like, here's an episode, and they're not letting you see everything, and that's how they put a twist on the end of every episode, letting you like have a cliffhanger to jump into the next one. But then if you had all the information at the start, you'd feel very differently. So I feel like they really pave which way you should feel about it, and I feel like that's really dangerous. Obviously, they can't give you all the information at the same time, but they really do hold things back, and it can make you, oh, they're innocent, oh, they're guilty, oh, they're innocent. And imagine if you were in jail for a crime and you were innocent, and like a production company is making like millions of people like go back and forth on whether like what your life is. Like that's so crazy to me. So crazy.
I fell asleep 3 times.
I think the intent of the film is important too. True.
Yes.
True crime
I think
is
that's
why
the big one
documentaries
for
exist.
me is like
The intent.
The care that's taken in telling the story affects whether I find it personally offensive or not. Like if I feel like it was just like thrown together, I'm going to be more offended at it than if it's something where I could tell they took time and effort into making it a good story.
Yeah, totally. 6 in line said, true crime is why documentaries exist, which is a good point.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Check out Interview with a Serial Killer Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Short book. Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know if I've seen that one.
You know what is a really good one? Monster. A really good true crime movie that's like based on... Have you seen Monster?
Mm-mm.
It's based on Aileen Wuornos, the female serial killer. It is amazing movie. But again, if you watch her documentary that she did with Nick Broomfield, who's amazing, he's an amazing documentary maker, she didn't want the rights to her films and books and stuff to be sold, and she feels like everyone sold her out by doing that. The movie is amazing, and it stays so true to everything, but at the same time, you knowing... And she is obviously, she's mentally unstable by the end, and knowing that that she felt like that before she died, it's kind of sad. It's awful. But yeah, it's a really good movie. But yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So Vicky.
Wow.
Did The Haunting of Sharon Tate offend you?
Yeah, that one, I think by the end of it, I could say I was offended.
We need a button that we press when it's actually offensive. Because it doesn't happen very often, guys.
She get like poppers and like noisemakers and stuff. Yeah, no. It was like, it comes down to like what I just said, like the care. It felt like there wasn't a lot of time and thought put into the movie necessarily. I think it could have been good, but ultimately it offended me. What about you?
It's hard to say because I am like offended by like the whole film itself.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be like personally offended. I'm offended like through empathy for the victim, like, you know, through what happened. But it's like not like it personally offended me.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, that's all you can be really when it comes to something like this, because we're not related to anybody involved in that.
It just makes me question a lot about what happens behind the scenes, and I just like know nothing is ever what it seems. But yeah, I would say I'm pretty offended by the portrayal of Sharon Tate and the way that they made her feel. Oh, thank you so much, Ben Grimm. Thank you for your blood sacrifice.
Finally offended. I'm pretty sure we've been offended by movies before.
Yeah, we were offended the first time by Cannibal
Holocaust.
That's like the end of the old. And then also by our the last episode, I think we were both offended by Monk and Kill of the Photos. But I can't think of anyone else that we've been offended.
And Red Christmas. You were offended by Red Christmas.
Oh yes. Oh God, don't even.
That's a given. Should I check the...
Oh yeah, let's check the poll.
Where's my mouse? Here we go. All right. Okay. So we asked you guys on Twitter what you thought. Ooh, it changed. Interesting. Okay. Um, so right now, with 18 votes, it's 56% to Haunting of Sharon Tate and 44% to Henry. And it was almost exactly the opposite before we started. Henry was in the lead by like 50 something.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very
All right,
interesting.
then.
There you go,
I was curious
guys.
as to how many people had seen it, too.
Yeah,
before
yeah.
It's such a newer film, but...
And I don't recommend watching it, to be honest, guys. Save your pennies.
Yeah, for how much I paid for renting it.
Thank you so much for your blood sacrifice, Raiders, and trying to trigger me. Bit rude. But, yeah. A bit rude. I want to thank you guys for being here today. I think that we wrapped that one up pretty good. We had a lot to talk about in that one, so I hope that was cohesive enough for everybody, cohesive enough for Vicky to listen to me again. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the conversation. And remember, these are just conversation starters. We don't mean to offend anyone. This is a good place to chat about all this kind of stuff. It's really fun and interesting because obviously after you see a film like this is something you need to unpack and like let go of forever.
Agreed. Yes. Absolutely.
Don't forget to go check out Vicky's channel. Her link is down below. Go subscribe and go hang out with her. I believe you just put up a video about a cake.
Yeah, it's my birthday on Sunday, so I made myself an ice cream cake.
I'm gonna go watch that after this.
With no recipe, so you can imagine how it turned out.
I love your like crafty cooking, all that kind of stuff. You're so funny. And yes, we still stand Hilary Duff. Don't worry, I still stand.
Oh yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Lizzie McGuire.
Thank you guys so much for coming, and thank you for all the blood sacrifices, guys. That was awesome. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys just being here. So thank you, and let me know if you have any suggestions for the next Does This Offend You, which will be on Vicky's channel, Vicky's channel. Yay! I don't have to worry about technical difficulties.
We do this every time. So glad I'm not hosting.
So we're gonna go record a behind the scenes for the patrons, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky, and I don't know. Have a good time and let us know what you want next time. That was a bad wrap up. Let us know what you want next time, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.